Hello YouTube stackers, this is ST with Silver Stacking 101, where we always believe in staying stacked and packed, stacked with silver, gold, food, ammo, and packed with the means necessary to defend our stack. We have been covering the economics of silver in a video series. We have been talking about the 5 elements, the 5 ingredients the current chef is adding to the economic soup pot. Today we're going to cover the 5th ingredient, which is tax reform. Next week we will do one video to outline what each of these are going to do to various sectors of the economy, what's deflationary, what is inflationary, and develop a short-term price outlook for silver. Then we will move to medium range, 5 years to 8 years. And we will conclude this series with a long-term viewpoint on silver. So subscribe if you haven't. Okay guys, tax reform. Tax reform was somewhat reported correctly, but not fully. It was sold to the American people as it was going to lower your taxes and my taxes, but that's not why it was done. And the economic effects of those tax cuts are limited. Now don't get me wrong, I'm all in favor of anything that legally, morally, and ethically puts a little more coinage in my pocket and your pocket. So I'm in favor of those tax cuts. Let's go back in time to examine why these tax cuts were necessary. 2014, 15, and the beginning of 2016, before the election coverage overshadowed everything as it typically does in a presidential election year, the word of the day was corporate inversions. Basically, in its most simplistic form, a company based in the United States will purchase a subsidiary based in a country with lower taxation. Then it will attribute a significant portion of its profits to the subsidiary, making those profits taxable in a jurisdiction with a lower tax rate and not taxable within the higher tax rate host country where they originated from. That's exactly what was happening. The United States had the highest tax rate in the industrialized world for corporations. Commerce, business, is going to follow the path of least resistance, the least regulations and least taxes. It's kind of like water. If we have a 3-foot stream running through our property and we go to lay a bunch of logs across it, some of it's going to go over the logs and continue downstream. Some of the water is going to go out of the banks, flow where we don't want it to. So Congress and the prior administration was looking at various legislative proposals to stop corporate inversions, rather than stopping the situation that was causing corporate inversions. Because when the profits went overseas to the lower taxing jurisdiction, the capital from the profits became very difficult to repatriate back to the United States to use for projects. Well, in a lot of instances the capital sat there. In other instances the capital was reinvested into projects in other countries, stifled our economic growth. Now the theory behind the tax cuts is the United States government will get a smaller piece of a much bigger pie. We'll see if it works. I'm optimistic on this. I think it's going to bring back an enormous amount of capital into this country and cause a large amount of capital to remain in this country. Had it not happened, would have went overseas. That's the real reason for the tax cuts. Why did they include personal? Because if you're going to cut a corporation's taxes, I don't know about you, but I want to know what's in it for me. Where's my tax cut? So the personal tax cuts were a selling point for the corporate tax cuts. We shall see. I'm very optimistic on this point. This should spur economic growth through capital investment within the United States by private industry. That's the fifth ingredient. So the 5 ingredients are increased reliance on domestic energy, deregulation, tax reform, trade renegotiations, and the willingness to go to a weak dollar. And what's neat is after I began this video series and after I announced what we were going to talk about, several things have happened along those lines, to the point I had to rearrange what weeks I was going to do something to match what was coming down the pike. So it's been kind of interesting for me to announce it and then watch a lot of this stuff come to fruition. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave me a comment. Agree or disagree. Stay stacked and packed, and God bless you.